Who is the world's economic superpower, China or the United States of America? Will China take over the USA and become the new undisputed king in the economic sector? What factors are going to matter in the upcoming years? Let's find out all in today's video. Hey guys, welcome to Country Economies Explained. Today's video is going to be really informative, so make sure to pay close attention. But before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell symbol so that you don't miss out on any of our wonderful videos in the future, and let's get started. Before the U.S. took over the crown of the world's greatest economy in the 1870s, Great Britain used to be the powerhouse of the economic sector. But nowadays, the USA faces a large economic rival, which is in many cases larger than the USA. And this rival is not going to slow down. Maybe you have all guessed it till now. That is not very hard for you, as it has been already written in the title of this video. So that rival is none other than China. The GDP. The GDP, or Gross Domestic Products, measures the total value of the economy over a certain period. GDP is basically the sum of all goods and services produced in the country. China used to be a poor nation whose GDP was 10 times less than that of today 20 years ago, but it did a miracle in the previous years. In the 30 years, China's and US's GDP grew from 6 to 8% per annum, but in the next 3 decades, China's GDP going to be doubled per annum at a 13% of rate, while the USA is going to succumb up to 4% per annum. So we can clearly see who is heading to the top. But it is not so easy to say. For now, the US is still in number 1 place. It is just a matter of time before China overtakes it. Manufacturing hub. China has created a manufacturing hub that can produce almost everything, from toys for kids to warships. It has established itself as the manufacturing hub of the world. China has become the world's largest manufacturing hub in 2010 and accounts for almost 29% of the global manufacturing value in 2019, while the United States percentage dropped from 26 to 18% in the previous years. Research and development also tell us the same story. In the R&D Industries, China has overtaken the U.S. Its share has increased from 7% in 2003 to 26% by 2018, while the U.S. share dropped from 25 to 22%. China's rise in manufacturing substantially increased its research and development facilities, which resulted in the tech companies coming there, and also helped Chinese tech companies to dominate the world market. Investment and business. For the first time in history, China dethroned the United States and grabbed the first position on the Fortune 500 list with 124 companies in it, while the USA has 121 companies on the list. The headline said that Global 500 is now more Chinese than American. 20 years ago, the list only included 10 companies from China, although in the corporate revenue sector, America is still way ahead of China. Equity market and banking. For now, America's equity market accounts for more than 50% of the world market, but China is slowly taking the pace, and its domestic markets have grown up to 2,500% from the start of the 21st century. China's market capitalization was $500 billion in 2003. Now it has become about $14 trillion, and this growth has been humongous. China's rise in the banking sector is even more impressive. In the 2000s, there was not even a single bank in the world's top 10 banks. Today, the world's 4 largest banks are Chinese banks in this list. By market capitalization, however, Americans maintain the lead, with American banks ranking 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 7th. According to The Economist, with a combined value of $1.1 trillion, U.S. banks continue to be valued more highly than their Chinese competitors. The WHO's combined market capitalization stands at $972 billion. Of particular importance to China's global banking influence is the fact that Chinese banks now offer more cross-border credit, the bread and butter of international banks. Indeed, China has become the number 1 creditor to the world, exceeding the totals of the World Bank, IMF, or all OECD creditor governments combined. While recent U.S. policy has weaponized the dollar in sanctioning North Korea, Iran, and Russia, whether this tool could be used to influence China is a subject of debate. U.S.-China economic relations have become so interdependent that they create an analog of MAD that has been labeled MAED, Mutual Assured Economic Disruption. If the U.S. tried to exclude China from the U.S.-centered financial system, and China responded by stopping the shipments of goods to the U.S., leaving the shelves in Walmarts, Home Depots, and Targets empty, both economies and societies would be deeply disrupted. A competition to see who could suffer more and for long has been, at least so far, a game of chicken neither has been willing to play. The tech talent. In this sector, China is still way behind America. China was not able to attract global tech support and talents, while half of America is running from the talent all around the globe. The total number of naturalized Chinese citizens remains under 2,111,000. In contrast, America has naturalized almost 15 million citizens in the past 2 decades. Immigrants have fueled U.S. leadership in technology, from the co-founders of American tech giants, including Google and Intel, to the founders and chief executives of the firms that brought us vaccines against COVID-19, Pfizer and Moderna. Of all the billion-dollar startups in the U.S. in the past 20 years, how many have been founded or co-founded by individuals born abroad or their children? More than half. As the society that attracts the most talented inventors and entrepreneurs in the world and gives them the freedom and opportunity to realize their dreams, the U.S. remains unrivaled. The main reason is the type of government China has. Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, is not a republic, PAR, and has a single-party policy, which doesn't have a very good image in the world as compared to the United States in terms of freedom. The coronavirus outbreak and China's bullying attitude towards its neighbor nations are also downed its image in the world. The future. To say about what the future holds is a very hard nut to crack, as everyone says that in upcoming years China's economic growth will slow down is almost true. But how much time will it take to be able to become the world's largest economic sector is still to be answered. According to the newest report given by the UK-based Center for Economics and Business Research, China is most likely not to be disturbed by the COVID-19, and eventually it will boost its economy and will become the world's largest economy by 2030, while India will be tipped to the third position, dethroning Japan and Germany. Whoa! The world order is about to change drastically, and 2 nations from the East who used to be once the crown jewel of economies in ancient times will again rise to the top. The U.S. is only a quarter the size of China, and thus, when China overtakes the U.S. as the largest economy, it will still be very poor. The best way for the U.S. to compete is to dramatically expand immigration. If the U.S. started taking in 10 million legal immigrants each year from the world and brightest, its population and the economy would grow dramatically. That would likely add 5 to 7% to GDP growth each year, which would keep the U.S. ahead of China for the foreseeable future. Taking 10 million of the best and brightest immigrants a year would also starve countries like China of their best talent, which would hurt their economy. Chinese supremacy over the world in 2030 is not inevitable. There is still a long way to go. Nevertheless, if China were to succeed, it would be devastating for the U.S. The U.S. has built its model around the U.S. dollar, which is the world's reserve currency. This gives them an exorbitant privilege, and it's as if the rest of the world is paying for America's standard of living. If China supplanted the U.S. dollar would not last long as the world's reserve currency. This would have enormous impacts on the United States. It becomes clearer why the U.S. will do everything it can to prevent the emergence of China at its level by 2030. The Cold War could even end up becoming a real war one day in the future. Comparing which economy is best takes a lot of factors. For now, I will bet on the United States. But in the future, we all should have to ready to change our opinion. So guys, that's all for this video. If you have any queries or suggestions in your mind, feel free to put them in the comment below. Guys, just one more thing. So if you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you at the next one.